In this video, you're going to find out how to write an equation from looking at a graph. The line in the graph is what we're going to write an equation for. The steps that we're going to follow to write an equation from a graph, a line on a graph, are going to be starting with these 5. Number 1 says, find the blank where the line hits the y-axis. This is going to be called y-intercept. Let me zoom in so I have a better writing area. Y-intercept. Then step 2 says, choose another blank on the line where the coordinates are blank. So we want to choose another point. The first line is going to say point. Choose another point on the line where the coordinates are, and this line's not really big enough for me, so I want to pick a spot where the coordinates are in a corner. And when we get a real graph, I'll show you what that means in a second. Then step 3 says count the blank, how many boxes up or down. This is going to be called the rise. And step 4 says count the blank, how many boxes left or right. That's going to be called run. And then step 5, what you're going to do is you're going to put those two numbers together to make a fraction. And then when we're finished, we'll put them all together to make the equation. So there are the blanks filled in for your steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how to get started on an equation. So here's a real example, and this hopefully is going to make more sense when you have a picture to look at. Make it a tiny bit bigger. On step 1, what we wanted to do was find the y-intercept. So again, y-intercept, if this is my y-axis, I want to travel on my y-axis until I find the spot, boom, where the line is intersecting or crossing it. So this is where I want to put a dot. That's my starting point. Now that number, when you start on a graph, the center is always the origin, 0, 0. So I'm going to go up 1, I'm going to go up 2. So my line is crossing at positive 2. So that's all I need to write down. Is a 2. And this is in the spot of B when we write an equation in a minute. Step 2 from the previous slide said pick another point, and it needs to be a spot where the line, they'll have the points meet in a corner. So if I start from this one, the y-intercept, I could go up or I could go down. So let's just say I go down and I follow the path. This position is not in a corner. It's in between lines. This position is in a corner. If I move my cursor like this, you guys can see that's in a corner. So I'm going to stop right there and I'm just going to place a second dot. And really, I don't have to write anything right here. It's just saying pick a dot. Now that I have those two dots, I want to figure out how much I have to go up or down. This one's going to go down and then sideways. I want to count these boxes. I'm just going to draw the lines so that I can see them and then count them a little bit better. There's my down line, there's my sideways line. So this is 1, down 1, sideways 2. Step 3 was put your down number. So the rise was -1 because it went down. Step 4 said count how far it went sideways. And the run was 2. Step 5 is going to be put them together to make a fraction. The rise is going to go on top, -1/2. And then the last step is equation, and it's always going to follow this form. Y equals mx plus b. So that's a whole lot of numbers which might be confusing for you. But how it's going to work is in step 1, the number that you got for the y-intercept, that's going to take the position of b in your equation. And then step 5, that's going to take the position of m in the equation. And when you look at it, this is going to be replaced with a number, this is going to be replaced with a number, and then you leave everything else the same. Okay? Here's what your equation would look like if you finish. It's going to say y equals, and instead of m, now I'm going to use the number that I had for my slope, which was negative 1/2. X is always going to stay there. If the number for your y-intercept is positive, you'll put plus. If it was negative, I would put subtract. And up in step 1, the number I had for b was a 2. Now that I put those together, this is my equation. Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. All I've done was substituted out my number for step 5 for the m and step 1 for the b. And that is your final answer. Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. Okay, here's just one extra example to do real quick without all those extra lines on the side, just so you can see that it's not really that complicated when you're doing an assignment. First thing I want to do is find, if I go down the y-axis, stop, this is where the line is intersecting. I need to put a dot there. That's going to be my first thing. That point is represented when I start in the center as 0, 0. If I go up, now this is crossing at 1. So I'm going to start out by putting my equation. I'm going to say y equals something x plus something else. Okay? Y equals something x plus something else. And we just said that this y-intercept, that's going to be at 1. So, boom, that goes right there. Then I need to pick another dot. I need to go along the line and find a spot from here. Travel down. That's not in a corner. That's not in a corner. That's not in a corner. That's not. This one is. So I'm going to put my second dot right here. And then I'm going to find out how much space is in between those. I'm going to connect the lines. I'm going to go down. Make that a little thicker. And then I'm going to go sideways. The down number, when you count this, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then sideways, it's 1, 2, 3. Then my numbers are 5 and 3. I'm going to put those together over here. Let's see if I can zoom in on this. Not really. Okay. Then I'm going to say my answer, my slope is 5 over 3. And if that looks a little messy, I can fix it. The whole entire answer would say y equals 5/3 x plus 1. Final answer for that extra one. That was not in your notes if you're in my class. This was just an extra one for me to talk through real quick so that you would see it's not quite as hard. And on your homework, you don't have to have all those lines. You just, boom, do it and you're done.